Gentlelady yields back. Now recognize the gentlelady from Florida, Ms. Cammack, for her 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our witnesses for being here today. So obviously there's a little bit of a dispute in who's leading, but I don't think at this point we're going to argue about that, but talk about the importance of this leadership and maintaining dominance in this space. That means that we not only accelerate the development of new therapies, but ensuring that we have a regulatory framework that inspires confidence, that strengthens our domestic research ecosystem and expands opportunities for Americans to participate in clinical trials. And as the representative covering the Sid Martin Biotech Hub, a world-renowned facility, this is critically important, not just to our national security, but to folks for me back home. So I'm going to start with you, Mr. Boyke. Did I say that right? Yes, all right. So clinical development is increasingly global, as been highlighted here today, but the United States can remain a leader in biomedical innovation by strengthening our domestic research ecosystem while continuing to build on those trusted partnerships with countries that share our regulatory standards and commitment to high-quality science. At the same time, FDA has made it clear that it can rely on foreign clinical data only when it has confidence in the integrity of that data. As more early-stage development takes place around the world, that confidence depends on FDA having the resources to inspect the foreign trial sites and verify compliance with good clinical practice standards, something I don't have the confidence in right now. As Congress looks toward next user fee reauthorization, should we be thinking about those objectives together, continuing to build on trusted partnerships while strengthening FDA's foreign inspection capacity and creating incentives to keep more of that early stage drug development here in the United States? And specifically and quickly, what reforms would you recommend?
Terrific question. Thank you for it. The FDA adopts a risk-based standard to conducting its good clinical practice inspections. It's hard to square a risk-based approach with where those inspections are happening currently. China, the number of trial or inspections we're conducting in China not only is dwarfed by the number of inspections we do in the US, it's also true for Japan and Europe. China has a number of fewer inspections in that environment. Congress should consider instituting a user fee for INDs that involve foreign clinical trial data so that FDA can have more resources to be able to pursue these inspections. We saw something similar in the manufacturing space around generic drug manufacturing. It helped uncover concerns with good manufacturing practices. The same would be true for good clinical practices.
And you would agree that we need to continue to develop the incentives for more early stage drug development here domestically?
Absolutely. It really does need to be a combination of making the U.S. competitive and also having better oversight over the activity occurring in China.
1,000% agree. Thank you. Dr. Winkler, I'd like to shift to another opportunity for reform. There you are. So women have historically been underrepresented in many clinical trials, if not most, particularly where there are therapies that are ultimately intended for both men and women. So while we've seen some progress, it's not near enough. I want to look towards how the next user fee reauthorization and how Congress could specifically be thinking about increasing enrollment, but ensuring that sponsors are designing trials from the outset to generate meaningful sex-specific safety and efficacy data. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so there are a couple of opportunities. First, it's making sure that the sponsors are thinking about what are the endpoints that are relevant to women, or shall we say, are there endpoints that are different by sex, and making sure that that voice of the individual is heard in designing it. And then in looking at recruiting for trials and engaging in the research, what are the barriers and what sex-based differences need to be explored not only scientifically, but practically in getting then the right mix of participants in the clinical trial. So it requires intentionality. And then also looking at things, are there opportunities to explore some of these post-market, right? What needs to be done pre-marketing, and then what might be explored and better understood after a product is already on the market. So using real-world data to generate real-world evidence to help us tease out sex-based differences.
Well, and I know I only have 13 seconds, but how do you do that without creating additional burdens on the sponsors?
So I think this is part of the upfront and being clear. Where you have particular sponsor burden is when it comes in late, or there was a lack of clarity, or sometimes sponsors don't always listen perhaps as clearly as they should have upfront.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Gentlelady.
And I will submit the rest of my questions for
Gentlelady
the
yields
record.
back.
I